So I got a question for you along the same lines of the
Uh-huh.
fascia.
Uh-huh.
Um, I think I've got plantar fasciitis. The bottom of my foot is like really, really sore.
Yeah, that's, I mean, without going into more detail, the foot is super prone to inflammation in the fascia, and that you just have burning sensation. The other thing to look for is your foot gets longer, like it doesn't fit in the shoe quite like it did, or you start to have one foot a little bit bigger than the other. That is uh, the fascia is inflamed and the arch is starting to fall a little bit. And so there's kind of a layered approach to that. A little bit different than what we were talking about with like the pink pepper, or the different kinds of pepper for the fascial lesion. Here, you're needing to reduce the inflammation. Normal anti-inflammatories don't quite always hit the fascia. Sometimes they hit muscle, sometimes they hit the nerve endings. But the one thing that works really well for inflammation in the fascia is lemongrass. And I would say put like 20 drops or so of lemongrass in some alcohol or witch hazel. You could also use vinegar as well, but people usually use like alcohol. Witch hazel can be a little bit gentler on the skin. And then from the toes all the way up to your knee, you just lather the liniment on, liniment or body tonic, however you want to call it, and let that dry, right? Then use, a lot of times I use vetiver, a little tiny bit of vetiver in between the toes, like this, And the thing is with the vetiver is it stimulates circulation, but it does it in a way that's like cooling and not hot. And so it has a little bit of a muscle relaxer property to it, but it's a good way to stimulate circulation without causing inflammation. Because the area is already a little bit inflamed. You want to get things moving, but not heated up, right? And then from there, I go back through and I rotate two different things. One is you're going to make an ointment of marjoram. And after the alcohol is dried, it could be like 30, 45 seconds, a minute. Take the ointment of marjoram, again, 20 to 30 drops per ounce of carrier oil or lotion, and rub it from the knee down to the toes, like, front of the leg, back of the leg, the ankles, the arch of the foot, just rub it all over. And then a little bit later, rotate it with bay laurel. If you don't have bay laurel, arbor vitae or vitae. How did we decide how that's said?
I got them both.
Vitae, arbor vitae. We have a PhD linguistic person in the office now, so that works for us. So I'm going, how do you say arbor vitae or vitae or however you say it? I still can't remember. But the bay laurel actually works better. And so the issue is that, so for one, the arch of the foot is falling and the pain is caused from inflammation in the fascia. But anytime there is inflammation in the fascia, there's a direct correspondence to the lymph nodes shutting down. So the more inflamed the fascia is, the more that the lymph nodes shut down, which means that part of your body is not detoxifying and not handling the inflammatory material. So what happens is it keeps getting worse and worse and worse.
Yeah.
Then, like when it starts to feel quite a bit better and you really have calmed it down and it's feeling good, make a liniment of cedar, any type of cedar. Again, probably 20 drops or so, 20, 25 drops per ounce. And then just daily keep putting it on that leg for a period of time. And this is really more for mopping things up and then starting to do some prevention. Another substitute, if you don't have that, could be red pine. An expensive version of it would be sandalwood, but I'd say don't use sandalwood just because of the cost. Just cedar's cheap. Do the cedar or the red pine. And so the reason to do the cedar is they're very good for circulation, but it's very good for circulation returning to the heart. So you're basically dealing with venous circulation, which is just, return blood flow, not getting blood to the area, but getting it away from the area. If for some reason you're just not clearing it, sometimes there can be blockages in the veins or in some of the junctures at the joints. That's when you would break out the sandalwood. It wouldn't always take a lot of dosages, but the sandalwood is much better for breaking up like blockages within the lymphatic system or within the venous system. But I usually don't lead with that, because usually if you just jumpstart those areas, they kind of function, right?
Okay.
If it's just not responding, that's when you go, okay, got to break out the big dog and break out the sandalwood. And, usually you treat it for a few days, a week at the most, and then you can go back to the other forms of treatment and you should be fine. But usually the first or second dosage of treating it with the lemongrass, the vetiver, the marjoram, usually within the first dosage of 2, you're noticing significant relief already. Like it will knock it out. I've had several people where they were on the verge of having to have surgery, that the plantar fasciitis was so bad that they actually had, one was a nurse practitioner. She had surgery scheduled like in three days from when I saw her. And apparently it had been there for a few years. And she did this treatment, and she just kept giving me this weird look. And then I thought she was mad at me because it was such a weird look. And I go, did I offend you or something? And, I was kind of teasing her, and she's like, no. And then she goes, is it possible that the pain went away? And I was like, yeah, it's possible. And she goes, no, I have a dilemma. I have surgery in 2 days or 3 days. And she didn't have the surgery. And I checked in with her like 6 months later. I said, did it come back? And she said, nope, she did. She wasn't even doing the treatment every day. She was doing it like 2 or 3 times a week. And she said, it just knocked it out. And so the other thing is, like, when you sleep, how like if you sleep, like if this is the foot, like the top of your foot, you don't want to have your foot too like straight. Like if you lay on your stomach and your foot's like pointy, that can aggravate it. So they do make braces that keep the foot kind of like in that flex state. But a lot of times, if you're just aware of it, it doesn't have to be super exaggerated. Just don't point it really excessively. That will actually make quite a difference. If it's still not completely going away, I would actually keep doing all the treatment, but then invest in the brace. If you just pop in plantar fasciitis like brace, I think they're like $25 something on Amazon or something, and you can wear it. But the thing is you'll wear it for like a week or 2, and then you'll probably never use it again.
Let me ask you. I have the fascial release blend. Is that of any use? Because I find
No.
that
So for fascial release is like when the fascia is wound up, and actually here what's happened is because of the inflammation, you've actually lost tone. And so actually what you're having to do is reduce the inflammation, open up the lymph nodes, but you're kind of in a way like firming the fascia up. And so that would be more for like the stiff shoulder or like the tight hamstring, something like that. But for here, you're actually wanting to reduce the inflammation and give that area tone. Because if you look at it, a lot of times there's like veins that are a little bit like they're dilated, they're bigger than normal, and you have a little bit of fluid retention because of poor lymphatic movement. And if you kind of feel the tissue, there's fluid there, but it doesn't quite have the tone, the muscle tone that the other side does. And so you're actually wanting to move all that fluid and then firm the tissue up.
Okay. Sometimes it's great, and sometimes it's horrible. Sometimes some mornings I'll get up and it's fine. And then sometimes it feels like really bruised on the bottom of my foot.
Yeah. That's plantar fasciitis. So I have a question for you. Is it your left foot?
Yes.
Do you sit on your foot during meditation?
No.
Okay. Do you do it like during healings or anything like that?
I'm not aware of
You know
doing
how like drawing the left foot up
yeah,
under the
I'm not,
perineum makes you more conductive?
yeah.
If you do it for long periods of time, you actually cause plantar fasciitis.
Yeah, no,
Yeah. I used to sit on my foot all the time doing healings, and my left foot is a size bigger than my right foot.
huh,
Yeah.
yeah.
Didn't know. But like I'm doing the mechanics, like how he said, like pointing the foot.
Yeah.
I would do that for 10, 12, 14 hours a day. And so like I just, I really wound up or inflamed the fascia there. So over a period of time, I just kept treating it, and the tissue has gotten better, but the arch fell and the foot's bigger.
Yeah, my arches have always been really low. And
Yeah.
so now it's
So
amazing.
once all this cleans up, the thing you can go through and you can do the pepper like on the foot itself and the arch. Sometimes it has a firming effect, but do it months after the situation is cleared.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.